everybody. Welcome to Back to the Bar. This week I am joined by my friend Tina, who we've just had a little chat. We've been chatting online for a long time, and I think I know that we have the same values, and that's kind of what attracted us to each other and how we've connected online. But lovely to see you. How are you, Miss Tina?
I'm fabulous. It's lovely to see you too.
It's nice to, and I love your artwork. We've both got artwork. If you're not listening to the podcast, we've both got artwork in our background. So I thought that was pretty cute as well, and pink. So
yes,
there you go.
Everything's pink here. Yep. This one here is one of my dance mums. So she doesn't pay for classes, but she gives me some artwork. So that works out well.
Oh, I like that. Well, mine are all Gretsch originals of various ages. I love art. So this is part of our Centre Stage series. So it's the At the Bar podcast, but I'm doing a series at the moment called Centre Stage, where I'm bringing dance studio owners to the centre of the stage who and dance studio owners who have a little bit of a side hustle or two. And you've got a few, like me. I feel like you've got a lot of things happening. But before we get to that, let's talk about you a little bit more. So what is a way that you like to just chill out? I'm not about like always working. I'm very much about advocating for us to just make sure that we are filling our cup. So how do you do that?
Yeah, that's really important. And I think it's been about 20 years because relax was then I'm wasting time. And I always needed to do something. And even reading, I got into reading to relax me, but that even ended up in being anatomy books or studying. So I didn't feel guilty that I was just wasting time reading nothing. So now with my children, they're old enough to do games. So I hated games, but we did video games. So Mario and Animal Crossing. At the moment, I can spend money on things that aren't real money, and I'm on that for about an hour with them. And it's really, it has helped, especially from COVID. I started that with them during the day, and it's made a huge difference. And I really can say I've relaxed now. Before it was like a structured relax, but to feel better. But this is good now.
I love that because just yesterday, actually, I'd been out with my oldest girl, Alana. We were out shopping. And then I came home and my husband, Brian, and Liam were just chilling on the couch playing the Xbox. And I have to say, Tina, a little part of me was a bit jealous because I'm not very good at that. And I have learned, like you, I've learned guilt-free relaxation time. It does exist. But I was kind of a little bit resentful, like, oh my gosh, you can just chill out for an hour. And then I was like, what a wonderful, they were completely present with each other, and what they were doing. Nothing else mattered. Nothing else mattered. And that was great. So I love that. And I hear you about the reading. I often have 4 books on the go, depending on my mood, and one might be a little bit more towards the professional side. And I'm interested in everything. So when I want to know more, I just get a book. I'm like, well, I can learn. So there's always one of those on the go. But and cookbooks. I love to read cookbooks. It's like the lazy way to eat. Pretty good for the diet too.
It is.
And what about a motto you live by?
Forgive and forget. That's one that I'm really, especially in my past, it's really hard to do. And the movies all teach you to forgive, but don't forget. And so I'd like to teach my children and my dancers that, but also a little add on to that one with don't be a doormat. So really important to not be walked over and to be okay to let things go or say goodbye to some things. That doesn't mean that you're excusing some things, but to really get it out of your brain. So definitely that one.
Yeah, that's really powerful because I think a lot of us forget about forgiveness being for us as well, as much as we say, we forgive the other person, right? We forgive and forget the other person. But when you learn that by granting someone forgiveness, that you're actually setting yourself free from being bound, then it is super powerful. The forget part is as hard. Like both are hard, right? Nothing
that
powerful is easy. Yeah.
No, that's it. Absolutely. Lifelong of forgetting as well. But
Yeah.
yeah,
Yeah.
it just depends. There's different gauges, obviously, of how you're
Hmm.
going to forgive and forget and to what degree and what you're
Of
talking
course.
about.
No, of
But
course.
definitely, yeah, it
No,
makes a huge difference in life.
I love that. And it has, yes, definitely, it would have absolutely made a huge difference in your life. And I mean, you know, we can't do anything about the past apart from learn from it, or but we can do so much about our future. And look, we've all got stories, you know, there's so many layers to this, and
Yeah.
some are definitely more traumatic than others. But certainly if COVID has taught us anything, I think perhaps we are starting to learn not to sweat the small stuff quite as much. I
Yes.
certainly have found that, you know, it's like, really, in the scheme of things, it's just let it go. It's not even, just let it actually go. All right, let's talk about, you know, what Tina Sparks does. You've got, and I won't put words into your mouth, but you've got your dance centre and a couple of other things on the go. So do you want to kind of, just for those who have not met you, just do a little summary and we'll go from there?
A little summary. I judge. I
Yes.
judge dancing. I've had my own cosmetic line for 15 years,
Wow.
and I sold that to one
Mm-hmm.
of my little proteges, who's not a little protege anymore.
Anymore? Yeah.
No, a personal trainer, qualified in exercise science, and now positive psychology and ministry. So they're very
Yes.
random, from a degreed ballerina background to stunt performing and teaching, love of teaching. But yeah, definitely. And now they're all encompassing into one. I'm wondering
Yes.
why I started all those things many years ago and going into massage and all that work. And
Yeah.
now I'm trying to ball it up. And COVID definitely has made it a lot clearer, and the demand a lot more, I guess, as well.
Absolutely. Yeah. And I think, you know, anything through service, which is very much, I can see your heart has one of service. No information is ever wasted. You never know when you're going to grab that small bit. And I'm like you know, I'm a Pilates instructor. I say I am. I'm a trained Pilates instructor, but I've not taught a class outside of the dance studio for such a long time. I'm sure Joseph Pilates would be most embarrassed with me. But you know, all of these different little things, and done studying leadership, but it does tie together with a bow, depending on who you're serving. And you've still got the dance studio. Talk to me about that.
Yes, so it's the 9th year in the dance studio here, in Harvey Bay, and that came out of doing the makeup workshops. So the makeup workshops, my love of makeup, I was trained by some amazing artists who were working with Lord of the Rings and the Matrix, and then they've taken me under their wing, and trained me up. So I found a love of makeup, and then I just started assisting dance studio owners, some of my friends first, and then I loved chemistry. I loved all of that side, and so we had our factory in Canada, and then created our own looks and our own lines. But then it fell in mainly to help dance studio owners teach their parents and students how to do that studio owner's makeup look. And in a lot of the research, it was found that the studio owners just didn't want to hassle their parents. It's just another thing to put a burden on to the parents, and they don't want to do that. But what we found was that most of the parents, well, nowadays, are grandparents. They have shaky hands, they can't see. You say go to Priceline, back then it was Amkel or whatever chemist, get your blue, get your gold, and it's all sold out. So in not creating stress, it was a huge stressor. And where you have spent hours as a dance teacher working on dance routines to make it wonderful, the last person they've seen is just their parent or that person putting on the makeup saying sit still, or I hate this, or this is like, it's a horrible experience beforehand. So yes, so we were giving back the power to the parents, how to just do an easy line, and giving basic tips, not making them a makeup artist, but also then being better with the mental health wise for everyone all round. And then overall the teachers were happier, because a lot of schools have the same costume, they have the same hair, same stockings. and your brightest part of your outfit is your makeup, and you wouldn't want some of those pictures back with the lipsticks all different, and if you've got a child of colour. And then I love bright colours. I love pinks and greens, but unless you're a really great trained makeup artist, that's not going to look great on everybody. You're going to look punched and bruised. So we did a makeup workshop back in my hometown. And then I got a call from the studio owner to say that they're leaving, and do I want to buy the studio? I said, absolutely not, and ended the conversation. Called her back an hour later and said, let's talk. So at that time we had gone through a lot of miscarriage, and lots of things happened at where we were. So I said to my husband, well, if we go back and we're going to have kids, his parents are in the Bay, my parents are there, let's give it a go. And if it doesn't work, I know this does. So, and 9 years later, we are here then, and we're at the studio doing it.
Yeah, and it's like a little sliding doors moment, isn't it? And I've had a few of those in my life, and in fact, I was the caretaker for my studio for 1 year before I bought it. It was very small, had 30 students in it, and I got asked, do I want to buy it? The owner was not coming back from Canberra, which is where her husband had been posted with the Air Force, and I was like, no, I don't want to buy it. It's the last thing. I just had Alana, in fact, I was sitting there listening to her talk while I was still feeding Alana, and I thought, no, you're meant to be coming back. And similar to you, about an hour later, I rang her back and I was like, all right, let's have a chat.
Let's talk.
Let's have a chat, and here we are. And look, I guess that means both you and me can say we don't have the regret, we've done it. We can always change our future. I've already mentioned that. We're not locked in forever, but while it's good, it's good. So that's Sparks Dance Centre, isn't it? The name of your studio.
Yes, and I'm so lucky. My husband, he's a Sparky. He is a Sparky. He's an electrician, and they all said, "Did you choose your name?" Like, no, but it's cool. I'll keep it. Thanks.
Yes, I know. I've mentioned to you how jealous I was of your very appropriate last name. I mean, mine is Gretch, and I was like, And I remember when I got married, I said to Mum, "Oh, the kids are going to call me Mrs. Grouch," and she actually gave me some very good advice, and she said, no, they're not, unless you give them a reason to. And I was like, oh, mic drop. Okay, Mum. And guess what? They don't. They just call me Miss Jane, so it's all good.
It's true.
So, I mean, you've got a lot of different things going on, and we'll also talk about Stage Ready Dancer, but you've got a thread, I guess a philosophy that kind of intertwines all of those. So talk me through, I guess, your why behind your what.
Definitely. The thread is just for safety of children. Totally. That's just, and more so of being a studio owner, knowing that we try and do so much. And the more studio owners I talk to, and I've been blessed to do the makeup workshops in hundreds of Australian ones, especially like the smallest little towns, 2J and Perth, and everywhere where we go, is just that I'm not qualified. So if I talk about, there is lots for children. There's a beautiful with Jackie Scott, Kids Safe in Dance. There is awareness now for abuse in dance. But what about those children that aren't abused in dance, that are just abused, that are there, whether that's physically or mentally? And then a lot of the teachers just not knowing, I'm not qualified, what do I do? I don't even want to ask if the kids are, how are you today, guys? I don't want that answer. I'm 40 this year. My teachers growing up too, you would never tell your teacher you had your period. You would never tell them that you were having a bad day. That's a sign of weakness too. And if you knew it would be shut down straight away. So there's still a lot in the dance studio, but to know that you are qualified, and that studio owners are qualified to love and to listen and to learn, and there's help. So with my background of, I was abused sexually, that's not through dance, but through growing up, that there's a lot that a dance studio owner can do, and there's a lot a teacher can do, that's just not spoken about. So there's tons of different areas that you can go in this, and that's a million different podcasts that you can do. But one is just of reaching a dancer, if you've got an elite dancer, to their goals, and just knowing things, and it's just talking to the right people. And that's what I'm trying to get out there now with the stage ready dancer, that if there's great things like Fit Mind for Kids, there's great information for the studio owners to do in the classroom, but when they go home, then what? So I'm wanting this to be a place that dancers can go to and studio owners can say, follow this page, go to Stage Ready Dancer. We've got police officers, we've got physiotherapists, we've got psychologists, doctors, a good team. Whereas if somebody does mention something to us or in a message, and like I said, I've been doing this now 20 years, and I've been blessed to just be given what I can handle at the time. And I've had like 3 little kids at the beginning for many years, and now I've got a whole book full of people I'm mentoring from, I'd say maybe 7 years of age with parent permission, from that age to now dancers that are on cruise ships and are stopped or they're in their career. But for dance studio owners to know that definitely to look out for things like when you haven't got flexibility, that's not always the sign, but you've worked with someone for a very long time and they are not getting better in their flexibility. It's it can be simple like that. It could be just being yelled at home. It could be at school, bullying psychology, like with the girls at school these days. They're quite mean. Starting younger.
Yes.
So,
and really caustic.
Yes. And for 4-year-olds, it's really scary on how young it's going, and how you can fix that. So for dance teachers to just realize, and for it to trigger, oh well, they're inflexible. Could it be? It doesn't mean it is, but could this be? So instead of saying, have you done your stretches today? Or yes, I know for myself, I was very diligent. I could stretch all day, every day. I win the award for stretching, and back to square one. So it can be a lot in their fascia. It can be a lot in their emotional. It can just be talking. And teachers just need to show then maybe love. If they go, oh, well, I don't know, but you know what, you're doing a really good job. Have you looked after yourself today? When's the last time you slept? Or just simple little questions. And then it often will lead to them, if they've opened up, that maybe down the track they'll be able to open up. And then if they do, for teachers not to be scared. And I think at the beginning, it may be in a teacher's manual, but if it can be regular for the studio owner, they're in charge of their ship. So when you've got a young teacher, to be monitoring, they might be great at the choreography. We've got one here too, great at that and great at the style. But the 1 or 2 kids that stay in the back and are comfortable to stay in the back, you need to be monitoring every now and again how they're feeling, how the class is being, how everything is going. But to talk to maybe their head teachers too, and there is help and information, and I am putting bits and pieces for that side as well, for them, just to a checklist and just to be more aware. That's all.
Because thank you for sharing all of that. I actually got quite teary listening to you, for lots of reasons, and there are some parallels. So my dad was an Anglican minister, and he in fact was the whistleblower for sexual abuse in the Anglican Church here in Adelaide. So which was pretty gutsy, because obviously it tested his faith, and it really, there's a big story there. However, what we've learnt through that is that when you get to know the signs, they are very obvious. And I don't try to judge anybody, but sometimes I see a child and I see things that I have seen in one of my family members, and it evokes a response in me. So it's not about us becoming super sleuths or trying to save the world. It's just about developing an awareness of sensitivity, that there might be something underlying, and you know, it might not be any kind of abuse, it just might be something else. And I loved that you touched on the teachers, because just on maybe Saturday or sometime last week, one of my younger teachers commented about the posture of one of my students, or her students, really, our student, about being quite rounded in the shoulders. And, you know, I'm really trying to, I keep wanting her to open up across the collarbone. And I know the student, and I know that she's got some baggage to carry at the moment for a child her age. And I said to her, you know, just be very sensitive about that. That rounded posture to me is very protective. I mean, it can also mean, Tina, that they're spending too long on their iPhone, can't it? I mean, this is the thing, right? Yeah. So
yes.
That's just about having the awareness and going, could it be? And not, I think when you shared like, oh, because I'm 40 as well. So, you know, we were brought up in a very similar time. Yeah, I know, life begins. About not sharing, and you know, there was no sensitivity towards that kind of, like, if a child was round shouldered, it would have just kind of been pushed back and come on girl, and with no regard to how that could have an emotional response, or even why that posture is being, the body is holding itself in that way.
Absolutely. And there's a whole exciting side for teachers to find out about too. And Lisa Howe has some great things on her ballet blog and the teacher courses that she does. But also, like, there's our nervous system, there's the circulatory system and the fascia system. Those three, if you just stripped away everything else, would be the outline of our body. Like nothing else. Our cartilage, no, because blood supply doesn't get there. So yeah, it's attached, and the fascia just isn't around our muscles. It's in everything. And the way that we eat, and if we are very emotionally affected by something, some people can be abused, and they are the most flexible, and it goes the other way, and it doesn't come out that way. But definitely pulling back or doing the stretches won't actually fix it, because the fascia, nervous system, everything is entwined. You can keep working towards it, but if you keep pushing that way, then the dancer will end up with frustrations and hate to dance as well. And while they're in your class, that's the safest place they can be. If you're a good teacher and you are caring, and they are happy in the back, and they are slumped and in a terrible posture that just does my little OCD head in of the ballet posture too, then they are there, and you are giving them a smile, and they can hear what you're saying. They know they need to sit up. They've got the mirror. They know what they look like. The fact that if some of them are just at least holding their hands up is a huge thing to open your chest and give yourself. Absolutely. So yeah, just, it's not on a teacher's radar all the time. And even with my background, it's not always there too. And I purposely have a sign, and I think teachers should all have a sign next to their computer where they go back to hit pause for that breath. We don't just have a breath. Mine is love is forgiving and love is kind. And I'm like, okay, well, I better be forgiving here, and I better be kind. Yes. And then turn around. And it's not, and with COVID too, with a lot of my dancers that are young anyway, they're not going to have a career in dance. I'm going to teach them like that. If they were going to swimming, I would still teach them like they were going to the Olympics, and you teach them well. But in an unregulated industry like we are now too, that means we don't have a lot of help. And I think that's a big conversation that we need to have. If we're teaching children, we shouldn't have the choice that we're regulated or not. If scooters and soccer hobby ones can be regulated, we can, and then we can get more help. So I think that's a big discussion that needs to happen.
I agree.
That might too.
I agree. And I hope it does in our lifetime. Change like that is hard, but not impossible, and needed, because if we keep coming back to the why, we keep stripping it away, is we are here for children, and dance is the reason, dance is like the conduit, and yes, we might make some dances, but we might not. But what we will do is make or break some children in some regards, or even just be that third place. It's very much my philosophy is, for some children, dance is the third place, and that is home is the first, school is the second, and we are the third. And I know, because of the way we train, the children stay with us from 4, go for many years through that. We have this unique opportunity to be that other person, that trusted advisor. And I know sometimes I do feel like it's above my pay rate when children tell me things. But a lot of the time it then just becomes a collaboration with a parent. You know, it's just they need me to start that conversation because I'm safe and I have been kind to them, and I have installed that culture of whatever happens, I've got you. You know, I'm here. I'm standing beside you. And yeah, we're dancing at the time, but at the end of the day, and this kind of stuff saves lives, Tina.
It does, and I know it does. And that's one thing, I got asked this recently in one of the awards questions from there, but
Yeah.
I know that I've saved some people's life, the letters that I've had now that they're grown adults. And you're like, that's why I do it. Like, they go, why do you can't change the world? I'm like, well, no, but I might be able to save one little one. But dance teachers, we do have, it's a fun little phenomenon, actually. It's the personal space bubble. When I started massage, and I started when I was 18, and I laid my hands first on it, and I'm just thinking about where everything is, and this is my first client, and then she's telling me she's going to get a divorce, and I'm like, oh my gosh, what's happening? So you hear that hairdressers and nail artists and massage therapists, they start to be psychologists, and when dance teachers go, I just don't know what to do, it's above my pay grade, this is all happening, because the moment we correct a student, we touch them. So we do, and animals have the personal space bubble. It is a phenomenon that's an issue, and we have the 4 layers, and you can go into that and research yourself if you're a lover of learning. But the moment you break that whether you realize it or not, you and that child have created that first connection. And then to understand that the more that you have that child from the age of 4 up, or that you've helped them reach a stretch goal, or you've helped them get into a competition, you create then the emotional attachment as well as that personal space bubble. But if a child leaves you for whatever reason it is, that they just had a better friend at another school, or you can know as a dance teacher, you're not just this crazy emotional teacher where they go, oh, you just love your arts and you're too creative and you're too attached. It's not. We have made that attachment, and it's physically, scientifically really there. And then you can heal as a dance teacher to know, you know what, if they came back again, I would do it again the same, but I created that because of the closeness that we had. And it's as little as a little touch, that instant, and then that child might be open to at least telling you, no, I had a bad day. And you can go, oh, well, really? Or now what do I say? I said, well, this class is going to lift you up, and if you ever need anything, let me know. Then keep going. And they know you've opened it. Now may not be the time in the middle of the class. I have had that before where it is. And you run with it and go with it, and you can switch it around. But that's something exciting for dance teachers to know too. We're not just all crazy and emotional about it. We might be a little bit, but that's why we're doing this.
Definitely crazy, definitely crazy. But keep going. I love it. I could just listen. And when you're talking, I'm actually picturing my studio. I'm picturing my students, and I hope our listeners are as well. And I'm picturing past, I guess, interactions with them. And, I think just by opening up conversations, like quite often I will say to my kids, tell me with your thumbs how your day's been. This is great. 2 thumbs up is great. 2 kind of on the side is all right. 2 down is not so great. So, and I do that when they're lined up on the bar, so they're all facing me and they can't see what anybody else's answer is. And I love that one because it's non-verbal. They don't actually have to say anything, but they can still show me. And then I kind of gauge my class from that. If I've got a lot of thumbs down, then that is not the day to be nitpicking about the rond de jambe l'air. It's like, okay, my work here, my class plan has just changed. We are not going to be too technical today, and make sure I get them feeling good, in a positive space, and then kind of ask them at the end, how's things now? I'm not going to pretend that everything's going to change in a 90-minute class, but just by taking moments, if teachers can take moments just to kind of check the pulse, so to speak, of where their kids are at, I think that could change the way we teach. It certainly has for me as I've matured. Like, I think that's just as I've got older, I've just become, whereas before I was very focused on what I was there to do. Like as a beginning teacher, I was there to teach dance, and that's what I did. So,
yes.
you know.
And I think, well, teachers too, they've got that pressure. If you're not the studio owner teaching your own class, and you've got that, when I was going into a class and teaching for many different studios,
Yeah.
then you would find out where you want to stay. So
Right.
that would be good advice for teachers to go to, because then, you know, in that hour, 90 minutes, I've got to get that content out. They've got their exam coming up.
Sure.
I have to do this. I care about your feelings, but I've got the pressure. And if I want my paycheck, I've got to get this done, and you've got to pass well.
Sure.
So, but you can be human then too. And then saying things like that is great. I love the thumbs up one. That's wonderful. And then, yeah, a teacher can just say at the beginning, if your day's really bad, well, this class is going to uplift you. And if you're having a great day, it's going to be even better. But then follow through. Follow through, because they will. No, they'll remember that. And like you said too, most of them that don't want a career in dance, but they do want to be taught well, but they want to be loved too. And with COVID, there is more relaxed. I think you can still teach a very good class with good content, and like you said, not nitpicking so much, and having a radar on, and then not having to be a detective and know, oh well, who is. But there is scary statistics. If you've got 1 in 5 that's at your studio, so even if you've got 50 kids and you say best case 5, or even better case 1, do you know who that 1 is? I don't know. So you've got to treat them all as if they can hide it very well. Some of the most outgoing, the ones that want to be to the more classes, want to do everything. I know I did. I wanted to be at the studio. I loved that I didn't have to talk. It was that quiet time. Not good about talking about things. So you can have a really shy kid, or just they're very outgoing. They love performing, but the one that's always asking for help. So there's lots of just little signs to just come back into your office, or for a teacher to have on here, that's coded in a way just for teachers, because we get so set in that hour. Just to recap, when you're in that mode and you're not fixing something, or you'll lose lots of students, and then you'll go, is it not my retention? Am I not advertising enough? No. So whoever you've got in your studio now, that's your amazing little tribe. That's and whether you've got 20, that's amazing. If you've got 20 little kids, that's 20 lives that you can change. 20 that's going to be an amazing something in their life, and then reach out to 10 more of their people. And it's a big knock-on effect that you can make a huge difference.
And definitely I don't teach the really little ones anymore, but I remember there was one very defining day for me where I looked down, and instead of seeing, and I'm a bit embarrassed that I'm going to share this because it's going to sound silly, but I'm going to do it anyway. But instead of seeing these little girls in blue leotards and blue skirts skipping in a circle, I actually just saw like cartoon hearts with legs. And I know this sounds really silly, but like it was just this thing that I saw. It was just like a little bit of a vision. Like these are little dancers, yes, but these are hearts. These are like they've all got this heart inside them skipping in this circle. And I was like, and not only is this a life, this is a wonderfully perfect child, but this is somebody's, like, I think I had become a mother by this stage. And so I begin to learn that there is that love that you just don't know about, and so I definitely softened. I was never harsh, but I definitely softened that day right there in that moment to just be like, okay, these little hearts. And I guess, is it the psychologist or maybe the psychiatrist's code of conduct? One of them has, first do no harm. And I think that is just so concise. I think we should all have that at our number one point, like regardless of what we do. First, do no harm, and then second, love more, or whatever your philosophy is.
And understanding that do no harm, because it's so easy to go, well, yeah, I don't sexually abuse my kids. I know my teachers don't. We don't hit them. We're strict, and that's a very fine line, that strictness of how you are teaching when you are strict, and your delivery the second. So You can be a strict teacher and someone hearing you next door might go, oh my gosh, but you're smiling with the kids and you're giving the wink and they're giving a wink back, and they know, and there's that different. I've been taught when I was in Germany by Russian teachers, and I know I got beaten. There's a difference between a beat or a cigarette out on you to stand straight, or the loving kind with just the knocking of the cane and then the wink going past. And you're like, okay, I have got fear, but how things are driven, and there's still that love. So that wasn't even good back then, but definitely. And words and delivery is that's a huge one. That's what we found a lot in the makeup, I think, too, with just knowing and talking to parents, understanding too. A big thing after doing makeup with maybe a studio for 7 years, we're from day one then through, the teachers going, just their mental health, they wouldn't have said mental health to me, but just saying that how they feel and how the studio is afterwards is so important. And it's made a huge difference, because a lot of parents didn't even know. They'd say, oh, you look so beautiful and look how gorgeous you are. And we've got 10-year-olds here that won't take their hair off their face because they think they're ugly without makeup on. That you're only telling the child that they're good. You already know they're beautiful, but you are only really emphasizing it when they've got their makeup and they're ready to go on stage. You look gorgeous, or how lovely you are. And they said, there was a big difference of parents waking up in the morning before they went to school now just saying, you look so gorgeous. And it was just a flow on. That delivery and thinking about things differently and talking about messaging, and students then understanding at the workshops that makeup is just so you can see them on stage, and it's to enhance their features, and they don't need it to look pretty. In fact, if you do a good stage makeup, that can look quite ugly. So
you showing them something
bit full on up close, and empowering kids then, and empowering the parents and the students, and creating a whole. So that's everything in a little nutshell of how we're trying to tie everything back in.
You've definitely connected it all, and it really speaks to me. And the work, I think we do need, I know we need an advocate in this area, and so thank you for the work that you're doing. And I'm so excited I know your Stage Ready Dancer website's not quite finished yet, but I'm so excited to see that come to life, and I'll definitely be sharing it with my tribe and the people that I work with, because there is a gap and there is information we need to know that there's somewhere we can go if where something's feeling not right, or even just to get a little bit of knowledge and then to get into the studio and use it. But where do you start to look? So
and for studio owners too, I think it's great, and your tribe is amazing. I think and I've deleted out of everything else at the moment because it gets things done, and the teachers and studio owners in there too, they're not threatened. They know that yes, you learn, and then now you become the teacher. So I like with my dancers or whoever I'm mentoring from afar, or now even more so on Zoom, and Zoom I've gotten better with on my calls, is that we heal them, and then we teach them to be teachers, and then for the children to go out and to be better teachers for life, and for studio owners and to keep on connecting, because we don't like to ask for help. We do like to think we can do it all on our own. That's still that weakness if we are asking for help, or threatened if someone else is doing something. Why didn't I think of that? But you can do it, and we need more people to do it, and you need more things popping up like this, and we need more studios popping up. Hopefully not next door. We don't like that if they're right on our doorstep. But if that happens, we are still different. Like you can still work, and you can still communicate. And so that's why the tribe then is so great too, because I find everybody is there. And COVID then, it's wonderful that it's brought it together, because we had it already, but then the more connections, and we need more help, and we need to know where to start. What can we do for the kids? And you are qualified to listen, to love, and then to lead, and not to be afraid. Don't be afraid at all, because the children will open up to you more than the doctors and psychologists first.
Absolutely.
But then you can be the doorway. And if somebody
right.
does then open up and you're scared what to do, if you need to report it, you do. But then if you can talk to the parents, you'll talk to the parents, and you'll guide and say, I'll go with you, or I'll be there with you, or whatever you need, I'm there, if you're that kind of person. And if not, then try and find somebody in your who is and can do it, and you can still lead them to that person. But we need that track, and that, like you said, that gap is going to close. And through this, Ausdance has been great, especially Queensland. Good. So we're talking with Ausdance, and we're talking with Keep Kids Safe in Dance, and now the Royal Commission. And even though we don't have a governing body, they said we can still do things, because there's law in Victoria, but there's only guidelines everywhere else, and that's in one part. But I think there's change, and it's happening.
Yeah, it is. Well, thank you for being the catalyst for that, or part of being the catalyst for that. Let people know where they can connect with you, Tina. What's the best way?
Instagram or Facebook. It's always there. That message I will always get, and I always answer it within 24 hours, even if it's I've seen it now, and I'll say that. I won't just leave the scene. I'll say thank you so much, and I will get back to you, or here's my number if it's emergency.
Perfectly. All right, and I will put in the show notes as well to the podcast. I'll put all of your links there as well. So thank you again. That's been just wonderful. I really appreciate the chat.
Thank you.